Welcome to a new episode of Everything Korea. Before I get started today, morning rituals are very important. I'm one of those individuals who gets up very early, goes to Starbucks, if possible, every morning at 5 a.m., wherever I am. And then early morning, I then move into actually tea. And so most recently, I've been enjoying really high quality Korean green tea. And this is organic. Cha is the Korean word for tea. It's very high quality, very good tasting. So I'm going to start that before I move into today's vodcast. All said, this week's episode is titled Connected and Conditional. So what do I mean by that? In my book, Korea Perspective, which I released at the beginning of the 2005 year, I discussed the complexity of the Korean workplace. What stands out in Korea-facing work is the interconnectiveness of their workplace. The author Richard Nisbett, who I quote in the book, describes the concept well in his book, The Geography of Thought. And he says, and to paraphrase some, to the Westerner it makes sense to speak of a person as having attributes that are independent of circumstances or particular personal relations. This self can move from group to group, setting to setting without significant alteration. And if we look at the American workplace, especially let's say the automotive sector, an executive or team member can move from one OEM to the next, basically jump right in and take over that responsibility. And whether it be in product or it was in marketing or in operations. In contrast, and Nesbitt notes, for the Easterner, the person is connected, fluid, and conditional. And by this he means the person participates in a set of relationships that makes it possible to act. And purely independent behavior is usually not possible or even desirable. And that means since all actions are in concert with each other, or at very least affect each other, harmony in relationships become the chief goal of social, and I'd add business life. So in addition, the philosopher Donald Monroe pointed out that East Asians understand themselves and their relationship to the whole, such as the family or society, and I would add the workplace. So let me give you an example. The Korean workplace is, I mentioned, this sort of complexity of interrelationships. Decisions must consider the relationship and the impact on the entire organization. To share an example from a global project that I was engaged in, a meeting concluded following a very high-level presentation to division heads of the Korean company, and the leadership was very pleased, but they also deferred any final decision to an internal discussion. Now what happened or unfolded over the next couple of days is quite interesting. To dismay of the Korean project leads, and these are the people I was working directly with, and we basically put the program together and really were ready to implement and engaged. They had mentioned to me that that to their dismay, portions of the assignment that they had been put together were now being distributed to a number of other departments within the company. In private, they shared with me that this was not, they're not pleased with this mandate. But there was no recourse since the parceling out came from leadership. This team that I worked with, the lead team, did not wish to create an issue despite knowing that the other teams within the company had only domestic Korea experience, and this was a global project, and they felt they were very poor equipped to handle this global assignment. Now, following the cultural norm, though, the lead team assigned and accepted the situation and sought to maintain harmony, even knowing the project might suffer. So again, the takeaway is in Korean-facing business that there's many factors that can come into play, and it's an interconnectedness versus just more of a linear project moving forward. So if you have questions or comments on this week's vodcast, please feel to reach out to me. There's a couple ways you can always, email me or text me. Or probably the best way if you want to set up for a time is to go to my meeting link, and that's embedded in here like that. I'd also like to get you a copy to the link of the book, Korea Perspective. So if you haven't picked up a copy of that, I've also embedded that in here. There's a couple of different ways you can get that and have access to that. So until next time, this is Don Southerton wishing you all the best. Oh, one more thing. I'm back in Orange County this week, California. I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe into Friday. So if you'd like to have a time to meet and that, please feel free to reach out. Next week, the plans are to be in New York City, so please plan accordingly to that too. Until then, thanks. This is Don.